have to use that.
I'm super awkward too, so you're in good company. All right. Any questions you don't want to answer is totally fine as well, okay? Where are you from? What's your specialty, and how long have you been a nurse?
We are from Michigan, and we're nursing students.
Oh, nursing students. Nice. Nice. Welcome. Welcome. What's on your mind, and what brings you to the march today?
We're just here supporting the profession of nursing and hoping for safe staffing.
Awesome. Glad to have you.
I'm Jacqueline. I'm from Mississippi, and my specialty is ER nursing.
All right.
And I've been nursing for 6 years.
My name is Sheila. I'm also from Mississippi. I have background in Tennessee. I'm a traveler. My background's ER, PECU, infusion. And I've been a nurse 14 years, but been in the medical field 24 years.
Yeah.
I am here for future nurses. So I'm trying to pave the way for the future generation of nurses.
I'm here to cap ratios and not salary.
So what does that mean to you, and what are your concerns both for nurses but also for patients if they do
It
cap
means
salary?
patient safety, and that's all about nursing.
You know, especially in the emergency room, we don't have CNAs. We have to flip the patient. We have to turn the patient. Patients keep coming through the door. We're steady going and going and going, and you give us so many, it's only so much that we can do to keep the patient safe. We got somebody coding here. You got somebody coming in with stroke here. We don't have enough staff. If you pay your nurses, then, you know, nurses will stay.
The first rule of healthcare or anything, if you can't take care of yourself, then how can you take care of somebody else?
Is there any other messages that you wish our politicians or healthcare leadership or just the general public knew about?
I wish they knew about the burnout and the things that it causes for patients.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. All right.
I feel like it affects patients when nurses aren't given the resources they need to succeed, and healthcare workers in general.
Definitely.
If a politician gets sick, the person that'll be taking care of that politician will also be a nurse.
Exactly.
How would you want us to treat you? We take care of the politicians, we take care of the homeless, we take care of everybody, so the least that they could do is take care of us.
Yes.
This is our passion. This is not just our job. We all chose this.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't choose this. God chose it for us.
I'm just not here for the money, but, you know, I do this out of my heart and, you know, the kindness of my heart to care for people, but at the same time, pay us what we're worth, because we do a lot. We go through a lot, you know.
We have inadequate staff, inadequate supplies, no beds, the ERs are full, one nurse to 4, fine, okay, maybe. If that patient is a critical patient, we can't be 1 to 4, 1 to 6, or 1 to 14. We can't do it.
Can't be in 2 places at one time.
Since you are all kind of in a unique situation being nursing students about to enter into the nursing career field, how does this whole situation and things you're hearing from other nurses like shape your kind of view of your future careers?
I feel like we are coming in at a time where everyone talks about the burnout, and it kind of is a little bit of a scary situation to think about because everyone's experiencing it now, and we don't know how many people are going to still be around when we actually graduate and actually go into the profession. It's going to be a different world.
Yeah.
But seeing everybody here is really hopeful, and it's empowering.
Yeah, absolutely. Gotcha. Any other thoughts in your mind or anything else you'd like to share?
I don't think so.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
If the higher ups, the politicians, the lawmakers, if they don't respect us, then nobody else will. When I was a new nurse, we pulled a guy out of the car. Actually, I did CPR while he was in the car until they got a stretcher. Several months later, I was walking in Walmart. I didn't know the family, didn't recognize me, but the father survived, long story short, and they all came up to me and gave me a hug. That's the reward that we miss, we yearn for. That's why we got in this field. But if this doesn't change, then I've been also looking at other avenues of getting out of the medical field. You know, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, we were superstars. We were heroes. Now it's back to nothing, you know.
Us nurses, whether it's storming outside, tornado, I don't care, we still got to make it. And we still got to take care of people because people need us. I don't play with people's lives. And if it continues to be unsafe to where we can't effectively take care of the patient, then I'm not going to play with it and I can just go elsewhere. I can go work at Chick-fil-A.
And Chick-fil-A values their employees.
Yes.
Hey, what's up, Internet? My name is Reed. I'm an ER nurse from the West Coast, and I went to the Nurses March this month, May 2022, in Washington, D.C., to capture these and other nurses' stories, their frustrations, their passion, and their pain. I was worried that their voices, which deserve to be heard and listened to, might not even be heard at all by those in power, so I went there to do all I could to make sure that would not happen. I mean this in the most absolutely genuine and sincere way possible. I walked away legitimately and to this day still feeling unworthy to have captured these interviews. But you know what? No one else, outside of those of us who were in the march, was capturing their voices and their stories. Certainly not our politicians, certainly not our healthcare executives. Our politicians in DC, every single one of them, missed out on hearing these voices. I got literal goosebumps multiple times listening to these stories, and again when compiling these videos, and I knew these voices not only deserved to, but needed to be heard. And still do. They still deserve to be heard. And I will do all I can to make sure they are. So to all of our politicians, I know DC is busy. I know there are many fires, so to speak, going on in the world. But healthcare workers just carried the brunt of the worst worldwide pandemic in a century and literally kept this country alive and running over the last 2 years. And you all couldn't even be bothered to merely acknowledge our presence when we peacefully shut down the busiest roads in Washington, D.C. for hours. None of you could even bother to wave at us from a balcony or a window, much less meet with us and hear these stories for a few minutes. Again, we shut down DC traffic for hours and got escorts from the Secret Service and Capitol Police, so you certainly knew we were there. I also checked your public calendars. It was a weekday, May 12th, 2022, when we were in DC for this march, and the House and the Senate of the US Congress were both in session, and the President was at the White House that day. Oh, and it was International Nurses Day, and it was the last day of National Nurses Week, and it was Mental Health Awareness Month. Oh, and it was the very same day our politicians acknowledged that 1 million people had died of COVID in the USA. But even though nurses were some of the hardest hit and most personally affected by those numbers of deaths, still none of our politicians would even walk outside and acknowledge us for even a moment at all. The message that we got from all of our politicians was, we know you're here, but we're far too busy to be bothered. Which begs the question, if you all won't even listen to tens of thousands of healthcare workers who personally were representing hundreds of thousands of healthcare workers who knew about this Nurses March, then whose voices do you listen to? Whose voices are more important than these tens of thousands of healthcare workers who just bore the brunt of this pandemic and who walked right up to your doorsteps simply hoping to be heard for a few minutes? So if you all wouldn't even take 5 minutes to hear from tens of thousands of your healthcare workers, how can anyone in the general public expect to be heard by you for their problems and their issues? How can any of your constituents in the general public expect to be heard by you, or ever expect any positive changes in this country? If you won't even listen and acknowledge us when we're on your doorstep, how can you say that you are truly their representatives or our representatives? More than 10,000 nurses traveled using their own money and their own precious free time and energy, and all we got from our decision makers was one pre-recorded video from one politician that day. And to be honest, I'm sure that video was very well-meaning, but it was from a politician whose name I didn't even recognize, and I am somebody who watches US politics very closely. So that's it? That's the best DC could do for 10,000 plus nurses who showed up on their doorstep? Each of you had constituents who expected you to make an attendance, or at least simply acknowledge our presence somehow. And beyond the 10,000 nurses who showed up, there were at least hundreds of thousands of nurses who couldn't make it but who knew of and supported this march from afar, not to mention the other healthcare workers throughout the country. All of us who were paying attention noticed your absence. These nurses and other healthcare workers deserved so much better than your response to our march. All of our healthcare workers deserve so much better than that. I am largely going to keep politics out of this channel because I'm really trying to focus on building up the next generation of nurses and other healthcare workers, and also to provide some comedic relief on this channel for the stresses that we endure as healthcare workers. But I absolutely cannot be silent, especially as I am publishing these videos. I cannot state how disappointed I am that nurses like those in this video only got my ears and my camera rather than the ears of our country's decision makers like they deserved. All of you, Democrat, Republican, I won't discriminate here, all of Congress and the White House, both parties honestly failed us this day. Do better. Now, on a positive note, to the nurses and nursing students and other healthcare workers that let me interview them and share their stories from the heart, every one of you sincerely are amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing and trusting your stories with me. I am sorry that more people didn't listen to you on that day, but hopefully many will hear your recorded voices here on these videos. And thank you to every single person who showed up at this march in support or who supported from afar. And for every nurse or healthcare worker that was not there but wished they could have been there, thank you so much for your support. All of us healthcare workers, nurses, providers, and everybody else needs to remember we are stronger together, and there are powers in this country that would love to divide us over petty issues because they know we are stronger together. And if we're going to make real changes in healthcare, the impetus for that has to start with us, and it starts by us being united to tackle these issues. If any of you viewers want to and are able to support this channel in any amount so I can continue making videos like this, I greatly appreciate donations of any amount, and you can donate easily at donate.nursery.com. But if you can't donate, absolutely no worries. That said, if you do agree with me that these nurses' voices deserve to be heard, please go ahead and share this video with others. I've also got many more videos coming this week from the 2022 National Nurses March in Washington, D.C., and many more videos coming out very soon to help nursing students and newer nurses. So please, I encourage you to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching and your support, and thank you again to everybody who made it out or who otherwise supported the nurses marching in D.C. I love every single one of you. Sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for watching.